Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for yet another Have Your Say video.
I'm back again. Why?
And this video is for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18, Episode 6. So today we're going to be recapping the episode, going through the results of the Have Your Say poll where you at home voted on whether you agree with the outcome of the episode. And I'll be going through a little bit of light drama to do with Athena Dion responding to the backlash she got on the back of this week's episode. And Myki Meeks reveals the real backstage reason why she may have been voted in the bottom, and it may have been because of another queen. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Okay, so let's start by recapping the episode. So we know that it's now part 2 of the talent show. So the other queens went last week, and then this week the other batch of queens are going, and obviously the group who went last week are voting this week and vice versa. So it's all to do with alliances because the judges' votes don't matter. It's all what the queens are going to vote for. So there's so much workroom talk in this episode. There's a lot of filler, to be honest, with the queens talking about alliances and conspiring as to who they want to put in the bottom. Sierra Mist knows that she's going to lip sync because she was the bottom last week. So she's trying to get people to vote for Discord because she thinks Discord is the only person she might be able to take in a lip sync. And people like Athena, who is performing this week, is kind of pressed because she can see the others conspiring and says, oh, this isn't fair. But what's funny is that Athena literally did the same thing last week, so it's just kind of funny. There was also an interesting bit where Michelle came into the workroom and gave the queens a sort of pep talk, which was really nice. We don't get that often. But the one gaggy moment was Michelle said, the one thing I can give to you as advice is know your words to the lip sync. And then she looked at Kenya and basically said, I'm talking to you, Kenya, because you don't know your words often. And I was gagged because obviously Kenya is performing this week. So that probably sent her into a bit of a spiral. It probably is true as well. So I think Kenya knows that. But I was kind of gagged that Michelle just kind of went for the jugular and basically just said, yeah, know your words. And I'm talking to you, Kenya. So as I said, so much of the episode is taken up with the alliances and the scheming and like the drama of it all, but it's not really that interesting, to be honest. So let's skip to the runway. And the category this week was Shake, 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 which is an outfit that moves when you move. And all the queens did this runway. Okay, so starting out, we have Myki Meeks. I like the idea behind this outfit because those things are all cable ties, and I think it did have nice movement to it and the colors look nice. I do think it is effectively just kind of a bodysuit type thing or a catsuit with some stuff attached to the legs and everything. It's okay. I think I'd give it a just okay, though. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you liked it a bit more than me, I guess, because you said 57.5% for yay. I would agree. It was kind of a just okay towards the yay, but I would put it in just okay more. Then just okay was 34.3%, so still a decent amount, and then 8.2 for nay. Next up is Athena Dion. And in case you don't know, Athena is Greek. I mean, she's, hardly mentioned it at all this episode. So this is obviously kind of, the evil eye or the eye of protection or whatever. I really like this outfit. I think it's a cool shape. It's very almost slightly futuristic, but like they did in the olden days, like the Jetsons or something. The way the outfit is done, it looks slightly sci-fi-ish. The colors are really pretty as well. I personally would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you agreed, although maybe not as much as I thought. It was 58% for yay, but then 32.5 for just okay, so almost a third, and then 9.5 for nay. After that, we've got Can You Pleaser. I think this outfit is nice. It's quite pretty. It is effectively, again, a bodysuit with stuff stuck to it, which is obviously, Michelle must be somewhere in a darkened room just taking her pulse because she hates this sort of thing. It is more elevated than some of the others. As someone pointed out, though, Kenya's wearing the same wig as she did last week, which a lot of people picked up on and didn't like because of that. I think the outfit is good, but I probably would give it a just okay, maybe scraping a yay, because I think it's just a tiny bit simple, but it is pretty. In the Have Your Say poll, you voted 49.1% for just okay, but then the next one was nay with 35.1%, so you obviously did not like it that much, and then 15.8 for yay. Next up is Jane Don't. I love this outfit so much. I think that is such a cool silhouette. We haven't really seen Jane do something quite like this before. It's so cool. It's so elevated. That color is lovely. I love all the little tassels and the feathers and everything. Yeah, this was stunning. Definitely a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you agreed 71.2% for yay, although I was surprised it wasn't more, to be honest. Gimme more. Then it was 22% for just okay, and then 6.8% of you voted nay. After that is Discord Adams. I'm a little bit torn about this one. I feel like Natalie Imbruglia.
Nothing's right, I'm torn.
Because I just feel like I can see the idea behind it, but I just think the suit itself, it is nice, but it does look a little bit unfitted. And I guess it's androgynous, but I'm just not sure it's that flattering. And because it was so heavy with all the chains and everything, especially because Discord is maybe not the most natural walker in the world, it just made it almost worse. I can see the idea behind it. It was sort of, a piece about capitalism and money and things like that. But I don't know. I think I'd give it a just okay, though. In the Have Your Say poll, you were completely split on this, I think. So technically, just okay came out on top with 40.6, but then yay got similar amount with 39.5, but then nay still got a decent amount with almost 20%, 19.9 if we're being exact. The next queen up is Mia Starr. This is a no from me. I'm sorry. I love you, Mia, but it's just not my favorite. I appreciated the VHS cassette tape because I am old enough to remember VHS tapes. Anyone who's old enough, let me know in the comments. Use the VHS tape emoji. I assume there is one. I think it's just a little bit shapeless, and the texture of it, I don't know, there's something about it that's not, to me, that pleasing to the eye. Maybe it looks better in person than on camera, but unfortunately for me, this is a nay. In the Have Your Say poll, maybe you're nicer people than I am, which I don't know how that's possible.
I'll tell you why, because you are a mean girl. You're a
But it was 43.3% for just okay. Then still a decent amount, though, 36.8 for nay. So I think a lot of you didn't like it. But then again, almost 20% of you did vote yay. So again, this is quite a split one. You obviously just can't make your mind up. Next up is Darlene Mitchell. I'll be honest, although this look is so unhinged, I have no idea what it is. It breaks every rule of fashion, which I should know because I do have multiple PhDs, as you should all know as well. I will say I actually loved this outfit though. It's just so bonkers. It's so I don't know what it is, but I did quite enjoy the fact that it's just like this boxy shape and then these red legs sticking out the bottom. To me, I actually would give it a yay just because she's got the nerve, the audacity, the gall, and the gumption to wear something like this. In the Have Your Say poll, I was kind of surprised in a way that I thought more people would like this just because of how dumb it is. So 44.5 voted for yay, so that is almost half. But then 30.5 of you said nay, so obviously you did not like her bonkersness. And then 25% of you, so a quarter, voted just okay. Next up, we have Vita Von Teese Star. I like this outfit. It's pretty. It is very simple though, and it's a look that I could see someone wearing for a performance, like something like that. It's not, I would say, a main stage outfit, but is it nice? Yes. But have we seen it a million times before? Yes. So I think I'd give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you agreed. 58.1% for just okay, so over half. Then it was 22.7% for yay, and then not actually that far behind was nay with 19.1. The next queen up is Nene Coco. I loved this outfit so much. Again, it's kind of bonkers. I don't know what I'm looking at. I love these ruffle slits. I don't know what you'd call it. Slit. That's not a good word, is it? Slit. You know what I mean. I love the way these things undulating. That's a good word, undulating. I hope that's the correct word. I really like the colors as well, the way it moves and everything. This is definitely a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, you obviously have good taste because you agreed with me. 84.4% voted for yay. 13.1% of you voted for just okay. Okay. And then 25% of you crazy cats out there voted for nay. Then penultimately, we have Juicy Love Dion. I think this is quite nice. It is effectively a corset with stuff stuck to it. I know I've said that quite a few times, but I think the way it's done probably does elevate it enough for these sort of, I think it's plastic, which is different from, I guess, normally it'd be feathers or something. So it was quite cool that she was using a different material than we've seen, I guess, before. And the way it moved was nice. Again, maybe tiny bit on the simpler side, but I would give it a yay, but a yay towards just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 56.9% for yay. Then I guess not that far behind is just okay with almost 40%, 39.2, and then 3.9 for nay. And finally, we have Sierra missed. I do think Sierra missed the mark with this one. Look, I'm trying, okay? It's tough out here for a joker in the streets. Anyway, there is a little bit of tea about this if you've watched my Roscoe's for this week, which, by the way, if you've not watched my Roscoe's, literally you should slap yourself in the face and go and watch it. Go and do it now.
Is this for real?
No, I'm just kidding. Watch this till the end so I get the money and then you can go and watch Roscoe's. But Sierra did say that because she knew she was lip syncing, she actually wore a different outfit. This was a sort of dance costume effectively that she had. And there was another outfit she was supposed to wear, which I'll put on screen. This was the original one and she posted it on Instagram. So I guess that does answer as to why this is so simple. In terms of this look, for me, this would be a nay. It's way too simple. It does look like a performance outfit, not a runway outfit. And I think you agree in the Have Your Say poll, 65.7% for nay. I think that's pretty much one of the only ones that got majority nay in this runway. 30% for just okay. So again, still quite a lot. And then only 4.3% of you voted for yay. So I asked you, whose shake, shake, shake it outfit gets a shh, 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 shh. Slay, that's me shaking, and you voted 40.1% for Nene Coco, 18.8% for Jane Don't, and then the rest of them were quite split, but in third place was Athena Dion with 9.6%. I was very split between Nene and also Jane, but I would give it to Nene just because I think it was so unusual. The color combination was really cool. These ruffly slits, or whatever you want to call them, the way they fluttered and undulated, I think looked really cool. So I'm definitely going to give the slay to Nene. Okay, so let's move on to the talent show for the second group. And we're going to start with Myki Meeks. So Myki did this sort of Bride of Frankenstein burlesque. I'll say I really enjoyed this. I honestly thought this was going to be a top 2 performance, and it probably would have been if it had been the judges judging, not Rate a Queen. I liked the concept of her being a burlesque dancer who's obviously Bride of Frankenstein, so she's got stuff falling off. I loved the bit where she did that with the finger and it came off. That was so fun. I do wonder why both of her boobs, but also something in the middle had kind of fallen out. I was like, is that her belly button falling out? I don't know what it is, but I did appreciate this was not another original song and it was something different, so I'm definitely going to give her a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you agreed, 78.4% voted for yay, so that is a huge majority, over 3/4, for those of you who can't do math.
I didn't go to school for math.
19.3% for just okay, and then 2.4 for nay. Next up is Athena Dion. So Athena Dion did an original song. I mean, it was cool. It was obviously about her Greek heritage, because if you don't know by now, she is Greek. I thought it was a fun song, and it is quite, you know, the oppa, oppa, like that was actually quite catchy. But other than that, pretty much all she did was sort of dance around a little bit and smashed a plate at the end. The only other thing I thought was quite cool was the bit where she played the violin on that thing around her neck. And I don't know if anyone else clocked this. I clocked it straight away. If there are any fans of Eurovision out there, which for those of you who don't know is a song contest between countries in Europe, and each country sends an act and they vote on it. And it's always really camp and stupid. I mean, that's obviously why straight people like me love it.
Sure, Jan.
But there was a song back in 2005, so it's going back a little while, by Greece, which won that year. And it's a really catchy song by someone called Helena Paparizou. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but I know the song, definitely. That was one of my favorite Eurovision songs of all time, and they did something very similar with the violin thing. And someone on Twitter actually asked Athena if that's where she got the inspiration from, because obviously it was a Greek entry for Eurovision, and Athena said yes, and I clocked that straight away. Other than that, I thought Athena's was a bit meh, if I'm being honest. It was fine, but nothing special, so I'd give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you probably agreed. It was 60.2% for just okay, so well over half. Then it was yay with 23.5. I guess I would agree. It was more towards yay than nay, because she did do it well, but it just wasn't that memorable. And then still a decent amount, 16.3 for nay. After that was Kenya Pleaser. Now, Kenya did do an original song, which already to me is sort of like a strike, because every queen does an original song. The other thing is she did forget her lyrics on a few different occasions, and they even showed a shot afterwards when RuPaul literally looked at Michelle and said she struggled with the words. And as soon as that happened, I knew they were going to set that up as the storyline. But it is true, she did forget her words. But as soon as that happened, I thought, okay, if this was a RuPaul and the judges judging this week, she would have been in the bottom. So unfortunately, I would have to give this a nay because I think it just wasn't that special. And she did also forget the words to her own song. In the Have Your Say poll, I think, don't quote me on this, I think you didn't like it. It was 80.7% for nay, which is one of the highest we've seen in a while. 18.2% for just okay, and then 1.1% of you voted for yay. And penultimately, we have Jane Don't. So Jane did a sort of, it's an original song, but it was more of a comedy type number. I'll say I loved this so much because it wasn't just an original sort of like dance track or whatever. It was comedy. I thought her voice sounded amazing because I assumed that was her singing. It sounded like her. Her voice sounded really good. She could be a professional singer. Maybe she is. I don't know. But it was really good. I liked that it was a bit of wink, wink, nudge, nudge type humor. It was so dumb. You could tell RuPaul loved it. I loved it. And one of the lyrics was, if you're going to fire the janitor, who's going to F me in the ass? And I mean, isn't that something we've all wondered?
Shut up. You're a whore.
So I definitely would give this performance a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, again, I think just a few of you liked it. 79%, let's almost call it 80%. I know it's not, but let's just say it is, which is a lot. 18.5% for just okay, and 2.5% of you clearly do not have very good taste or appreciate the finer things in life, and you voted for nay. And finally, we had Discord Adams. So she did an original song, but the whole point was she's saying, I'm not going to do another Drag Race song, but obviously she was, so it's like tongue in cheek. And she also played 3 instruments, the drums, the keyboard, and the guitar. I will say the song was actually very catchy, so I will give her that. And she did say at Roscoe's this week that she did actually record and write everything herself, and she recorded it in a studio, and she couldn't play them live on stage because they'd be too loud and you wouldn't hear the backing track. I would say I do think, although it is a talent to play 3 instruments, she didn't really play them on stage because of, the backing track was them. So I think it is impressive, but just as a show that we could see, I was a bit like, it's okay. I think I'd give it a just okay towards a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you maybe agreed, although you were actually harsher than I was. You said 57.2% for just okay. Then it was 26.4%, that's over a quarter, for nay. I personally would have given it just okay towards yay rather than nay. And then 16.4% for yay. So I asked you, whose talent show gets a slay, and you voted Jane Don't with 48.7%, which is almost half. Then the other one that got a huge amount was Myki Meeks with 43.1%. And then the other two were quite split, but they only got 5.2% for Athena Dion and 3% for Discord Adams. I definitely agree. I would give it to Jane just because probably if I had to rewatch a performance, I would rewatch hers because I thought the song was really catchy. She performed it well. It was actually funny. So I definitely would give her the slay. So it then comes time for Rate a Queen, and the other group will be rating this group because obviously the judges are not judging this week. It's all down to the queens. But I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, how would you do the Rate a Queen? So let's have a look at the results. These are the results of the Have Your Say poll, not what the queens voted. And if we just go through them, you can see obviously look at the top, you've got 1 to 5 at the top, and then you've got them at the bottom. Athena Dion got more in the 3-4 side. I would agree with that. Definitely was kind of more mid for me. Discord Adams, again, more in the mid, but more towards the 4, so the bottom end. Jane Don't definitely got the most in 1 and 2. I would agree with that. Kenya Pleaser by far got the most in number 5, which is obviously the lowest end. And again, I would definitely agree with that. And then Myki Meeks got the most in 1 and 2, but not quite as much as Jane did. Okay, so we find out that the top 2 this week, potentially controversially, is Athena Dion and Jane Don't. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, did you agree with the top 2? And a staggering 83.3% said no, and 16.7% said yes. So of that vast majority who said no, I said, who do you think should have been the top 2? And by far you voted Myki Meeks and Jane Don't. I would agree. We'll get into this later, but we know obviously it's Rate a Queen, so it's not coming down to who is actually the best. It's more about the alliances and everything. But I definitely agree. I would have put Myki and Jane in the top 2 position. But we find out in a very crazy turn of events that the bottom queen this week is Myki Meeks. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, do you agree with the bottom queen? And a whopping 97.2% voted no, which I think is one of the highest I've ever seen. And then only 2.8% of you voted yes. So of that, almost all of you basically who said no, I said, who do you think should have been the bottom queen instead? And perhaps predictably, you said 84.4% for Kenya Pleaser. Then it was Discord Adams, but only with 10.1%. And then third place was Athena with 5%. I definitely agree. If we're obviously going by actual talent show and if we're doing it fairly, not Rate a Queen, I definitely agree it should have been Kenya in the bottom. Okay, so we've got the top two lip sync first, which is between Athena and Jane, and they lip sync to the song Jerkin by Amel and the Sniffers because the guest judge is from that band. And we find out Athena is announced as the winner of the lip sync, so therefore wins the challenge. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, who do you think won the lip sync? And you voted 69.7% for Athena and 30.3% for Jane Don't. Okay, so then moving on to potentially the more interesting of the two lip syncs, which is between the two bottom queens, which is Myki Meeks and last week's bottom, Sierra Mist. And they lip synced the song Toxic by someone you probably have never heard of called Britney Spears. And we find out that Myki wins the lip sync and is therefore safe. And unfortunately, that means that Sierra Mist is eliminated. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, who do you think won the lip sync for your life? And you voted, again, an absolute whopping 96.1% for Myki Meeks and 3.9% for Sierra Mist. So moving on to the last two questions. Question 10 was, based on what we've seen so far, who do you want to win the season? Now, Nene Coco did come out on top of this with 28.4%, but not that far behind was Jane Don't with 24.8%. And then if we look at the rest, it's actually pretty split, but Myki Meeks came in third place with 15.3%. But perhaps slightly more interestingly, question 11 was, based on what we've seen so far, who do you think will win the season? Now, this one was a lot more decisive. Jane Don't got 54%, which is over half. Then it was Juicy Love Dion with 19.9%. And then third was Nene Coco with 15.8%. Okay, so let's move on to the comments for this week. There were a lot of comments, especially in my Patreon. They were popping off my Patreons this week. So I've grouped them into kind of categories or flares of what the actual flare of the comment was. So if we start with, a lot of the comments were about effectively unfair placements. So my Patreon Patty said, I thought the talent show was so-so, and I agree, it was a bit meh, to be honest, compared to other talent shows. But basically saying, I think that Kenya should have been in the bottom because she forgot the lyrics to her own song, and that Myki should not have been in the bottom. My patron Stephen agreed and said, I watched this with a large group, not one person thought Athena won. Yeah, I don't think many people thought she did, but it's because she had the alliances. And my patron Nikki said, Myki being in the bottom was crazy. I also will say I was gagged that Myki was in the bottom. Like, I could see maybe Athena winning because of the alliances, but for Myki to be in the bottom, I was genuinely gagged. And then moving on to, I guess, the lip sync more is the flair of these comments. My patron Deb said the lip sync was a bag of nothing. Neither did a good job. Okay. Not holding back with your opinion, Debs. Myki kept seeming like she was on the verge of doing something cool and then would just do an awkward twirl. Yeah, it wasn't the best lip sync, but I do think Myki won. And my Patreon Max said, I would like to propose no more Britney Spears lip syncs on RuPaul's Drag Race. Now, I guess what I can infer from this is that Max hates Britney Spears.
Leave Britney alone!
And then in terms of a lot of the other comments were about the alliances and things. So my patron Elizabeth Ann said, the talent show top 4 gave me flashback to Alaska, Tox and Jinx, I think because of the alliances. And it's kind of, you know, Jane Don't was saying she was going up against this big force of it being the Athena Dion dynasty of the alliances. So I can see that. And then my Patreon Riot just said, the power of friendship. And my patron Oxymoron actually said they liked this episode and thought it was really fun, but then said something interesting, which was, is it only me or are they giving Jane a villain edit? And I do think they did show quite a few of her comments this week and she did come across a bit sharper than she has before. So I do wonder if that is slightly what they're doing to try and get some drama in, but let me know what you think. Did you think she came across as a villain this week or not? And my patron David said something that I 100% agree with, which was, I kind of wish they would limit, or I just think ban, the original lip sync songs. I just think they're so boring, they're so overdone. I know it's hard to come up with a talent, but I think at this point, production should say to the queens, we encourage strongly not to do an original song because it is just boring. In the Have Your Say poll comments, as you can imagine, most of the comments were about how unjust and unfair this was. So a lot of people just said, I can't believe the shenanigans in the voting. Myki was a top queen and Kenya and Discord were bottom queens. Athena was in no way a top performer. The routine was very meh, but she won the lip sync. I agree with all of that. And there was a lot of comments just saying things like they did Myki dirty and Myki did not deserve that bottom. I agree. And as I said earlier, though, it wasn't a RuPaul and the judges judged episode. If it was, I don't think Myki would ever have been in the bottom. It would have definitely been Kenya. But I think we've got to remember this is done for entertainment purposes, and at no point did they say this has to be fair or there are rules. You might say that you would have voted for it fairly, but that's not what it says in the rule book. They can do whatever they want. So I don't agree with it, but at the same time, I'm also not going to get crazy about it. And then someone else made a point that I 100% agree with, and I wanted to say it was, this episode seemed to have so much filler. I agree. I know normally the queens don't mind a bit of filler, but this is a different type of filler. And they also said, I don't understand why we didn't get a mini challenge and instead had so much of the useless alliance chat. I agree. After a while, the alliance chat was just a little bit boring. What I personally would have preferred is, because the talent show is only a minute long, I would rather they cut down all of that crappy filler about the alliances and they gave the queens 2 minutes each rather than a minute, because the actual talent show literally went like that. It was so quick. So yeah, I just feel like get out the filler and put in some more of the talent show, because that's actually more interesting and the queens could do a bit more with 2 minutes. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that it's fair for the queens to obviously vote strategically and with alliances, or do you think that they should be forced to vote for who actually they think is in the bottom because of their talent? And finally, we're going to move on to a little bit of light tea on the back of this week's episode to do with Athena Dion responding to the backlash that she got. So as we saw in this week's episode, Athena was in the top 2 and later won the lip sync. However, this was mainly because she had an alliance with many of her Florida drag sisters who voted her in the top for the Rater Queen. After the episode aired, there was a huge amount of chatter on social media about this, with people calling out Athena, saying she didn't deserve her win because her talent show in their opinion was not good and she only got the top because of her alliances. And Athena actually responded to quite a few of these comments. For example, Athena tweeted saying, "Let this talent show teach a life lesson, children. You can have all the talent in the world, but it means nothing if no one sees it. This industry runs on who you know connections, deals, meetings, promotion, and relentless pitching. No A-lister made it on talent alone. Clock it." Season 17 contestant Lana Giray responded to her and said, "Literally, I always say you can't make it anywhere if the bus isn't running, so sometimes you may have to walk, but a carry must still ensue regardless of the matter, to be honest." And Athena replied to that saying, "I missed the bus." Athena retweeted a tweet from someone else who had commented on another tweet about this situation, which said, "Dominated and rigged in their own favor, I love it." To which Athena said, "Well, yes." Another Twitter user posted a video of Athena's talent show number and said, "We live in a timeline where this is considered a winning talent show performance." And Athena responded to it with a GIF and said, "And you'll never escape." Another Twitter user pointed out that this episode has the lowest IMDb rating so far for this season, seemingly implying that it was because of the outcome of Athena winning. And Athena replied saying, "This is a lie and you're a hater, and this is also AI generated and you're wrong and mean." So it became clear that Athena was not taking the criticism particularly seriously, and she was more leaning into the fact that people were pressed that she won. Another season 18 queen also got involved and received some criticism in the comments, which was Jane Don't, who lost the lip sync against Athena. Jane tweeted about the situation saying, "The thing you must understand about me, I am an Athena Dion stan. That woman is giving you television. She can do nothing wrong. Funniest B word in the cut, whether intentional or not." Someone commented on Jane's tweet and said, "Also, isn't it hypocritical for you being an Athena fan when the Dions proved you were right regarding prior Drag Race relationships messing things up, as things become a popularity contest instead of one based on talent? But Jane replied back to this person saying, no, because that was a year ago and I don't care, lol. So it looks like the queens themselves were not that upset about what actually happened and they were just joking about it now. But a lot of people on social media had some very strong opinions on it. I only showed some of the light-hearted comments, but I did also see some quite mean and aggressive comments, which I won't show. But this is just a reminder that it's really not that serious, so please do not send hate to the queens and just enjoy the show. And finally, moving on to a little bit of behind-the-scenes tea that Myki Meeks spilled about this episode. So many people were surprised that Myki was put in the bottom of the Rater Queen this episode, because a lot of people felt like she should have been in the top because they thought her talent show was good. And one of the potential reasons that Myki was in the bottom may be because Myki did not have as many alliances with other queens as Athena did. However, Myki does a viewing party at the Wren Theatre where she spills tea about Drag Race. And a clip from the most recent viewing party, which I saw in a video by the YouTube channel Oh Nurse, Myki revealed the potential true reason as to why Darlene Mitchell voted for Myki to be in last place, and it may have been because another queen told her something. So here's the clip.
In 5th position, I will do Miss Myki Meeks.
Someone went up to Darlene and told her that I voted her last.
In 6th position, I'm putting Darlene Mitchell.
Originally, I heard it was Athena, but then Athena told me it was Discord. So they didn't show it, but it could have been either of them. Who knows? And then Athena came up to me later that day and went, I think somebody told Darlene you put her last.
Yeah, you did, you snake!
And I just thought this was an interesting insight that might explain why Myki was in the bottom this week, and also it implies that Discord may have gone around trying to campaign for someone else to be in the bottom. And I'll also link to both of the channels I mentioned in the description if you want to go and check them out, because they do have some good tea. So there you go, there was the Have Your Say video for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18, Episode 6. Let me know in the comments what you thought of both of the talent shows, and did they live up to the expectations you had, or did you think they were worse than previous talent shows? If you'd like to get extended cuts of my videos, content that I cut out of my Roscoes and my Scorpios, early access, as well as many other things, please check out my Patreon. It's a cheap way to support the channel, and it honestly does make a massive difference. So please go and check out my Patreon, and I'll link to that in the description. I'd also like to say thank you so much to my amazing Patreon members, both to the newer ones, but also to the existing ones. Some of you have been around for so long, and honestly, I'm so appreciative of all of your incredible support. You honestly do keep this channel going. You're the backbone of everything. So I would just like to say you are absolute drag tea served legends. Please make sure you either like or comment on this video, because it really does boost it in the algorithm and promotes more engagement for the video. And please make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'd love to get some more subscribers, and it does make a big difference, so please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the future for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and, you guessed it, drama. Thank you so much. Bye.